The vast majority of human existence, romantic love was treated as a dangerous mental illness.
Ancient cultures looked upon the intense passions of romance with absolute horror. They treated it like a highly contagious, dangerous disease people simply had to survive, kind of like a bad bout of the chickenpox. Classic stories from history were not celebrations of romance, they were dire warnings about how chasing emotional highs could ruin absolutely everything in a person's life.
We analyzed results from evolutionary biology studies, and the data proves human emotional attachment evolved strictly for community survival, not for romance. We did not evolve big fangs, thick armor, or immense physical strength. Instead, we evolved the neurological capacity to form intense emotional bonds. This forced us into communities that cooperated to stay alive against harsh natural elements.
Without developing instinctive emotional attachments to one another, early humans probably all would have been eaten by tigers. It's that simple. This irrational degree of loyalty and affection kept humans relying on one another long enough to survive the savannas, dominate the food chain, and populate the planet.
The ancients distrusted romantic impulses for a very good reason. Youth swept up in fantasy routinely make profoundly embarrassing and foolish decisions. Take a young man named Alex. At 21, completely consumed by romantic infatuation, he skipped class, bought a ticket, and rode a bus across 3 states just to surprise a girl. He was immediately rejected and sent packing on the very next bus home. It was a terrible, irrational decision, fueled entirely by a romantic delusion.
In the ancient world, feelings did not matter. Life expectancies were brutally short, and sustenance hung by a tiny thread. Arranged marriages were purely economic arrangements designed to promote the survival and prosperity of both extended families. Marriages existed to combine farms and share wheat during inevitable droughts. There was zero tolerance for personal feelings when an entire village's survival was at stake.
Chasing romantic tingles and running away was a legitimate threat to community survival. Think about it. If a young man abandoned his duties for a milkmaid in the next town, people starved. This behavior was viewed as so treacherous that some ancient societies went as far as cutting off young men's testicles to stop philandering and ensure absolute compliance with the economic order.
The industrial age changed the calculus entirely. People moved into city centers and took up work in factories, completely severing their strict financial dependence on family farms. With independent factory income, individuals no longer relied entirely on inheritances or family connections to survive. For the very first time in human history, individual feelings were allowed to matter. This shift cross-pollinated with Enlightenment ideals to create the age of Romanticism in the 1800s.
The ideal of marrying for love and living in eternal bliss is a thoroughly modern invention. It is barely 150 years old. Before this, marriage was a duty, a harsh requirement for continuation, not a vehicle for personal fulfillment.
During the 20th century, ad agencies and businessmen observed this new romantic ideal and weaponized it to extract profit. They manufactured the Hollywood delusion of endless passion, perfect partners, and happy endings. They replaced the historical reality of duty, survival, and economics with a highly polished, incredibly profitable fantasy. Romance became a highly marketed scam designed to sell movie tickets and diamond rings, mostly because humanity is easily seduced by the promise of a happy ending. As the advertising executive Don Draper famously stated in pop culture, what you call love was invented by guys like him to sell nylons. Commercial forces took an easy psychological sell and beat it to death over the next century.
Pop culture inundated society with a highlight reel of romance. All the nuance and complexity of living through a relationship was swept away to make room for exciting headlines, unjust separations, and dramatic plot twists. This caused society to mistake exciting, anxiety-inducing drama for the structural foundation of a real relationship.
This widespread delusion traps people in toxic relationships. A toxic relationship is defined by two people loving each other in the hopes that those intense feelings will fill a horribly empty hole in their soul. People fall for someone who sucks for their happiness or whose dysfunctional life threatens to pull them underwater until they literally drown in their loving arms.
People in these situations exhaust their physical and mental energy trying to force a flawed, incompatible partner to fit the perfect fantasy constantly playing in their head. They do not love the person standing in front of them, they love the idea of the person.
Drop a comment below if you have ever stayed with someone just because of their potential, while completely ignoring their glaring faults. It's a universal trap born from a marketed fantasy. We systematically overestimate love's ability to overcome fundamental incompatibilities and toxic behavior.
Modern personal freedom removed the arranged marriage safety net. The modern trade-off is that we are no longer confined by the farm, but we are forced to grapple directly with the profound responsibilities and painful realities of love entirely on our own. Without parents objectively analyzing whether a partner is entirely wrong for us, we are left to figure it out ourselves.
True love is not found in the highlight reel. True love is the unsexy, drudgery, and boring self-discipline that begins long after the exciting cinematic credits roll. It's waking up and choosing to do the dreary, unappreciated work of maintaining a partnership when the initial infatuation inevitably fades.
Building a selfless, lasting relationship requires a strict methodology. Step 1, strip away the delusion. Step 2, accept the flawed person standing in front of you. Step 3, put in the grueling, sustained effort to build real trust over decades. This is the crucial shift from a fragile fantasy to a concrete, unshakable foundation that can withstand the weight of real life.
Love should never be the cause of a relationship. It is the hard-earned byproduct of living a disciplined life together. Just because someone makes you feel intensely alive does not mean you should necessarily live for them. Genuine love is the effect of mutual respect, shared goals, and unwavering effort.
Romance in the modern era is not dead. It is simply waiting for both people to build a foundation of absolute trust before they surrender to the fantasy. Romance is postponed until the hard work of building a life together is absolutely secure. Once that trust is forged, the resulting connection is far more powerful, beautiful, and resilient than any Hollywood script could ever invent. So ask yourself, are you putting in the grueling work to build a real foundation? Or are you still just chasing the highlight reel? Mentalities will continue providing the hard data and uncomfortable truths you need to build a better life. So hit subscribe.